love watching horse movies. We're probably the worst people in the world to watch horse movies with. That's not a mare. That horse had a blaze. My husband's like, be quiet, be quiet. Okay. All right, so, yeah. All right, so you're going to think about, you have to put as little effort as possible into asking this horse to trot. This horse is so sensitive, isn't he? I mean, he'll do it for you. So when you're ready, let's just pick up a little bit of trot. You just go in here as far as you want to. Just be comfortable, have fun with it, and play with some of these ideas. Let your lower body take up the shock. Good. Kind of get your rhythm going. This is good. This is good. There you go. Beautiful. And it's okay if you have a little bounce and it feels weird. It's recovering. It's how fast you can recover that makes a good rider. This is really nice. Look at you. And you go as far as you want to. It doesn't matter to me. You just have fun. And if it starts feeling a little wonky, you can always just relax into it or bring him to the walk. It's all good. This is really nice. Haha. Boy, he listened that time, didn't he? You said, "Wow, man, that horse stopped on a dime," because he's starting to feel you. He's starting to. If you only do it once, they don't care. It doesn't mean anything to them. But you've been very consistent in practicing this stuff. Even just the little bit of time we've been riding together, you've been really practicing. You've been paying attention to your breath. You've really been playing with this. He's starting to believe you now, isn't he? He's like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." All right, so think about how little does it take to bring him back up into the trot. You don't have to do so much work. Let him do the work. Let him be your legs, right? So when I go to walk forward, I usually don't do this. You just start moving your legs. So you think about that energy. Yeah, so if you want to bring him back up into the trot, just think about what would you do with your legs. Good job. Look at you. And then you're looking out the windshield. You've got a plan. You want to go into your future, not into the arena dirt. Yeah, there we go. That's it. It's okay if you get a little out of balance. Just find it again. We're good. That's just my countdown alarm. Good. And then think about how little would it take to bring it back to the WALK. It's beautiful when they start to believe us, because they're like, "Oh, you've got credibility with me now." Because what you're doing right now is you're building. He's thinking you're legitimate because you've done it every single time, or you've tried to. Let's change direction now. When you go to make a turn, you don't have to put so much effort into that either. You don't have to lean. Just keep your seat bones in your saddle and bring your belly button the same direction your nose is going. Yep, and you're leaning way over your foot, right? Because you're thinking, "Go." And he's like, "I can go, I promise." He's like, "I promise I can go." So let's do, we're going to still go the same direction, but just do a smaller circle for me. So just bring a smaller circle toward me, keep going the same way, and then just practice not leaning so far over your shoulder. Yeah, yeah. There you go. That's it. Hi, handsome, you're so cute. Yeah, just keep turning toward me, and then just practice turning without leaning. Yeah, good. And then head toward my tractor. There you go. Good. That's it. And see, same sort of thing. I mean, I know it's kind of a silly analogy, but when I go to turn my own body, I tend to go like that, right? Unless I'm dancing cute. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. That wouldn't be that cute. But so think about, how would I move myself, right? I wouldn't lean my head or lean my body before I move my feet. I just stand up and move my feet. So ride like that, okay? Let's try a little bit this way when you're ready. You can go out on the rail a little bit, so you don't have to lean at him. Again, you wouldn't walk off that way, right? You would just move your feet. So you just think about that. Yeah, look at you. Beautiful. Good. And I'm stacked up there like a pyramid, so I'm base wide. My head, my shoulders is the smallest part of that pyramid. Makes it easier load for him to carry. This is really nice. Good. And then whenever you're ready, I don't care where, you can think about melting him into the WALK. You just kind of think it. You're like, "Oh, I wonder what I just," yeah, you have more breaks than you're used to now. I love it. What a good boy. He's like, "Well, she's saying the same thing every time." He's believing you, and now he's starting to offer you even nicer stuff, right? Because I think this horse would tolerate quite a bit from somebody, because he's well trained and he's got a good brain and he's got a good heart. I really like this horse. But the better you do, the better he does, right? Which is so cool to see that happening. I love when that starts to happen. Oh, Yeah. That's very good. Okay, let's now, if you want to make a turn in here, or you want to make a circle, you can. Or if you'd rather stay on the straightaway, again in our rectangle, that's perfectly fine with me. But you're gonna discipline yourself. Yeah. You're like, okay, what if I were to just move my own legs? What would that feel like? You're doing a great job sitting that, by the way. It looks better and better. I don't have to lean outside my horse. I wouldn't lean to turn. That was good. That was a good turn. Good for you. And if you get a little goofy, you get a little off balance, relax into it. Because the more I fight the goof up, the tighter it gets, usually the worse it gets. It kind of starts to unravel. But if I can just relax into it, there you go. Good. That's it. Good. I'm relaxed across my chest. My seat's taking the bounce. That's good. Really nice right there. Yes, ma'am. You're right. Good. And then you just pick a point where you want to melt him down, and it won't take much. That should have felt pretty darn nice. I mean, he's getting so smooth now, isn't he? First couple times you're like, oh, I've got brakes. I didn't know I had these brakes. Because at the very beginning, what was happening is there wasn't a lot of feel happening through your body. It was all just in the hand. Which he'll stop. You can make this, if you did nothing and you sat there like a board and you pulled on his face, he will stop for you. But it doesn't feel really pretty, right? It's just kind of like grabbing the front brake on a bike. Yeah, that's always a shock, isn't it? So I like to ride, if we're using our bike analogy, we like to ride him with the foot brake, if you will, the back brake, and a little bit in front if I need it. Does that make sense? You know, rather than grabbing the front. I flipped myself over handlebars before doing that as a kid. I was like, oh, that's what those are for. Oh. Okay. Good, I like it. I like it a lot. So, we're okay. We've got a couple more minutes. So make sure your reins are even, your outside reins a little bit longer. There you go, good. And then just find your good walking position. You're like, okay, I want to make sure I'm not leaning my belt buckle over the horn. I don't want my chest over the horn. I don't need to. All I can do is think about TROT. And you're ready, you just think about it. And I just lift myself up, you know. I'm like, come on, horse, if he doesn't come, then I can do. Yeah, good. Yeah, you just play with that balance in your body. You'll know. When it gets easy, that means you're in that sweet spot. Like I said, you might bounce into a rough spot. And what I do is I'm like, okay, I can either break it down to the walk, or I just kind of wiggle around a little bit till I find that sweet spot again. Good. There you go. Great with your eyes, by the way. Your eyes have been wonderful. Good for you. That's okay. And if you get a little bit stuck, that's all right. It's recovering. It's not that you're never going to make a mistake. It's recovering from the mistake. That's so nice for you. You're a quick study and you listen, and I really appreciate that, because there's a million different ways to go about it. I just try to throw a lot of different imagery and analogies, because that's the way my brain works. And like I told people, hey, you can take it, if it works for you, consider it yours. Or if you need to amend it quite a bit, or if you just need to go, I don't know what she was talking about, try something else. It doesn't matter to me as long as it works for you, right? That's why we collaborate. That's what's so fun. Okay, so you're going to turn from the letter K as in kangaroo, and you're going to head toward the letter M, which is by your daughter, okay? And on that line, you're going to ask him to halt. So you're going to think about, get in a good position, you get him on a nice straight line, and just think about, if you were to just stop your body from moving, if you needed to just stop, what would it feel like? And see if we can convey that to him. And you might have to have a little more bit, that's okay, good. He started listening way back there. He started paying attention to you, and you just needed to follow up with a little bit of bridle, which is fine. I'm not this anti-bridle person. People are like, oh, like, no. It's called having good hands, right? Because I can have the dullest or the sharpest bit in his mouth, but it's all about my hands, of how the horse is going to feel when I ride them, right? Because I've seen people pull a horse's face off in a snaffle. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, it's just a snaffle. Well, when you ride, which you don't, by the way, but you've seen people do that. I'm like, I don't think that felt.
It's not that I haven't done that.
Yeah, we all have. And I tell you what, if a horse goes being a booger with me, you're going to see some pulling, okay? I have no problem. Like, I'm going to save myself if I can, right? But generally, I think about, you know, the other thing is it's a little tiny 5-inch, 5.5-inch piece of metal, whether it's broken or shaped or whatever. That's all I've got. And then I have the rest of the horse that I can touch and feel and influence. I try to remember that. It's just this much metal in its mouth. So if I got better here, chances are I'm going to get better there. Chances are the horse going to be happier, right? And that's why you ever watch a really good rider, and I don't care what discipline they are, but they go do this fancy thing, and you're like, I didn't see him move at all. Isn't that beautiful? And you see that? Well, it took a long time to get to that, right? They flopped around like a fish out of water up there too. I'm sure they did, and the horse did too. But they refined that. Remember, I talked about like the chainsaw. Sometimes we have to go after it with the chainsaw, but then eventually we move to the scalpel, and I barely have to do that, and the horse can tell. So he has got that ability because he is really sensitive and he's got a good start. So then my job as a rider up there is like, okay, well, I wonder how little it would take to get you to do that, because you can always come with more. That's my philosophy. How little would it take to get this horse to do whatever I want to do? And I do that all the time. I'm like, okay, even with the colts, I wonder, sometimes I'll just be thinking about, like, I need to go open a gate. I actually kind of in my head, I kind of have this story going. I'm like, all right, buddy, help me open this gate. I don't really necessarily say anything, but I have that feeling in my body. I said that intention, if you will. Wonder if you could help me out by getting my knee over there. And you know what? I swear, if I'm in a good place in my head, because if I'm distracted or worried or cranky, it doesn't work, okay? And the horse can't be cranky either. But if we're both pretty cool that day, I can be like, hey, I wonder if you could stick my knee over there by that fence post. 9 times out of 10, the horse will make an effort to do that. And I didn't really do anything, but I did. You see what I'm saying? I think our horses, our intention, whatever you want to call that, people can call it a vibe. I don't care what you want to call it, but that's the world they live in all the time. That's how they can be in a herd of horses, and we don't even see another horse move, but this other horse will notice, oh, I better get out of the way, right? And know that they might need to pin an ear, or they might need to throw a hip, but before that happened, there was all whatever that is, because that's what they live in. So I think about this like a horse is born. I imagine God gives a horse a walkie-talkie. And I'm born and God gives me a walkie-talkie. And the horse is permanently set on channel 3. Out of 10 channels, the horse is going to be born, live, and die on channel 3. Well, I get to surf the channels. A typical human, I'm like, right? And I'll get to 4 and things go pretty good. I'm like, wow, and I'll get to 7 and things aren't too good. I'm damn horse here. And then I'll get over here. And occasionally I end up on 3. And what do? Good horse, good horse. And I think the horse is like, he's like that. He's like 3. I'm still on 3. So and try to be a human that can talk to whatever all that is going on. It's way beyond just the commands that we teach them. Whatever that is, that's where the magic stuff starts to happen for me. So I do good. I try to sit real good up there. I try to be the best package that the horse is carrying around. I try to be the best leader for the horse. All those things come into play. But the more I can go, I wonder if I just thought about going over there. You've got nothing to lose. So the horse is asleep. You go pick him up a little bit. I need to give you a kick. So what? I can go way up the scale. But that's what's fun. I think that's what's fun. And I don't care if you're on a trail ride or moving cows or doing arena work. I think that the more we can get that going on, whatever that is for us, the happier they are too. And some horses, you can keep offering it to them and they never pick it up. And I'm like, oh, okay, I need to ride you like you're a plow horse. All right. I mean, that kind of is a bummer for me, but, it's kind of crude, right? It's just, there's no sophistication. But this horse has the capability of being very sophisticated. So you just don't forget about that. Don't forget about that. Now you might need to get on him and you might need to pull his head around and you might need to kick him in the belly. Okay, that's okay. I'm not saying don't do that. But if he's like this, he's really rideable, right? He's really rideable. So I might be like, what if we just thought about going over there? So what? Let's do 2 more things and then I'm going to call it a day. So you're going to think about heading toward that corner and then you're going to turn to your left and go all the way around, okay? So you don't have to lean at him because again, you would go like this to walk, probably. I haven't seen you walk, but I did.
When you lean forward, they really shouldn't move.
They shouldn't move. Yeah, no, exactly. Until I put my seat and my leg on. That's the whole thing. I should be able to do all this up there and he shouldn't move. It's not until I go carry him a little bit with my leg and look where I want to go. That's when they should move. And he's taking a little nap. Good for you. Great with your body. Oh, that was good body control. I know you're concentrating so hard. She's like, I'm not going to lean forward.
Where am I going?
You're going to head toward that corner and then go to the left. Head back toward my my house. There you go. Good. Wonderful. And then think about a little bit of trot. And again, you can come with more. Now, again, if you're looking out your windshield and you need to move your own legs, there's no reason to lean up your saddle horn. Yeah, he's like, oh, what's going on over there? Just bring his nose in a little bit. Yeah, he's like, He's like, I took a nap. Good. There you go. Yeah, that's all right. That's not a bad thing. Good, and then you're looking out your windshield. Because if you keep looking at the ground, he has no idea where you want him to go. I know. She's like, I've heard this before. Okay. Now just think about WALK. Just think about it. Yep. He's kind of thinking. Yeah, you had the perfect amount of support for him. Because he kind of checked in for a second and then he didn't really follow through. And I could tell you were really following through. So that's okay. Then you just came with a little bit of clarity. Clarity meaning, hey, I'm talking to you. That's all it is. Okay, let's change direction. So when you go to change direction, try not to drop your hand way down low. Yeah, almost like if you're holding a tray. I know it sounds kind of funny, but nothing needs to go lower than you holding a tray out in front of you. Because if we had your lunch on the tray and you dropped your hand like that, no lunch for you. You'd be looking for Tic Tacs in the truck. That's all you get today. There you go. Good. Okay, so find your seat, find your balance. We're going to do one more trot and one more walk, and then we'll call it a day. So just think about how little would it take. And it's okay if you have to come with more. It's no big deal. Yeah, good. Yep, you're asking. And he's kind of like, he's got an ear on you. Try not to lean forward. There you go. Yes, yes. Might need a little more squeeze. Yeah, that's fine. He kind of went to sleep on us. That's okay to wake him up a little bit, but I like that you gave him a chance. That's the whole point. You gave him a good chance. Okay, good. And think about your tray. You don't want to spill your lunch. Yeah, good. Really good for you. And then just think about kind of pumping the brakes and bringing him into the walk. Good. Yeah, you handled that really, really well. Because he's got a little bit sleepy on us because we visited there for a second. So he's kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll carry you around. And he's not malicious about it at all. He kind of went into horsey zone out mode, which I do that a lot when I'm listening to somebody drone on about things or a boring TV show. There you go. Good. Ah, good boy. Okay, I threw a million analogies at you and a bunch of imagery, and I know I teach a little bit different than some people do, but you just pick something in there that works for you. And again, if you need to massage it and you need to, imagine you're carrying kittens on your shoulder, I don't care what you do. You just have fun with it. Because I think sometimes people forget, you know what I mean? If we can use our imagination and we find a way, because it's all about me tricking my body into a good position. Because if I'm like, oh, sit up and don't do this and do it, I get really stiff. And you hear instructors all the time, sit up. I've said it a million times too, but it's like, how? How do I sit up? Because what I automatically do is this. And then I can't feel anything. And then all my weight goes up here, right? And I'm really stiff up here. And the more I can just relax my armpits, relax my shoulders, let my seat follow the horse, first of all, I'm safer because I'm loaded correctly, like a pyramid. And then I can actually do something with that. Because it takes a lot of muscle control to sit on a horse and go with the horse. People think that, yeah, I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. You probably later to be like, oh, but it's so good. It's amazing. I can have a sore back, and if I go get on a good horse and I can just relax and move with them, it's amazing how my body will actually work that soreness out. Because there's that, when they walk, they raise one of our hips up and then the other. We don't really, it's not quite that exaggerated, but they do. It makes like a little figure of 8. And boy, there'll be time getting on and off sometimes can be a little ouchy. But boy, I get really stiff in my lower back. But if I can get on in a good horse, not a horse that's sponking me all over the place, that doesn't usually help my back much. But it's amazing when I find that balance and that tilt in my body, have my pelvis the right way and kind of grow my body out of that. It can feel really, really good. Oops. Okay, that was I got to turn into a pumpkin alarm. But any questions? Anything you want me to say a different way, or anything I can help you with?
No, you pointed out a lot of things going forward. And the forward thing, that's habit. And that's something I have to fix. So I think I just get on and riding around out there at home.